Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
I'm Ron, and I'm a member here at Trinity for about 10 years.
I am Jenn, and I am the Faith Formation and Outreach Director here at Trinity for almost 8 years.
Well, we have several readings to share. The first one is Jeremiah 23. Am I a God nearby, says the Lord, and not a God far off? Who can hide in secret places so that I cannot see them, says the Lord? Do I not fill heaven and earth, says the Lord? I've heard what the prophets have said who prophesy lies in my name, saying, I've dreamed, I've dreamed. How long? Will the hearts of the prophets ever turn back, those who prophesy lies and who prophesy the deceit of their own heart? They plan to make my people forget my name by their dreams that they tell one another, just as their ancestors forgot my name for Baal. Let the prophet who has a dream tell the dream, but let the one who has my word speak my word faithfully. What has straw in common with wheat, says the Lord? Is not my word like fire, says the Lord, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces?
Yeah, that one's...
God's gonna God.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
You know, God, I just... okay, story.
Yeah.
That made me think of this. If you remember, before we had Easy Pass
Yeah.
at the turnpike,
Yeah.
people would stop and wait in line, and then the toll booth collector would take the toll and
Right.
so forth. About 2 years after they came out with Easy Pass, they did a study and showed that women downwind of the toll booths had stopped delivering underweight and premature babies. It had an enormous impact. They were breathing those diesel fumes.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So I shared that with a friend. This has been some years ago, of course. And when I told him that, he said, I just don't believe it. I don't know why he was so invested in waiting in line at a toll booth, or
Right.
women having to breathe diesel fuel. I don't know what made that, but
Such a thing, right.
it's the word just. It's the word just that makes me think, that's like I dreamed. I dreamed that
Right.
this was wrong, or I dreamed that this, it was just such a weird, to me, that was such a weird response, or such a weird thing to have, to
Right.
identify with.
Right. To say that you wouldn't believe it, or that, right.
Yeah. So that was what that verse made me think about, was that story.
Well, right. Well, and it's such a weird, to me, when growing up, I grew up in a church that people would prophesy every week, all the time, or we would have nights that would be prophetic nights, so that people would come and go so that people could prophesy over you. But you weren't allowed to read your horoscope, and you weren't allowed to, know any of those kind of things. So God forbid you ever open a newspaper, barely even open a fortune cookie, because that could be, a little questionable. But you could go to a prophetic night and totally believe anything that was being said there. That was never ever questioned. Okay. Because Jesus' name was attached to it.
So there's I just right. Believe it.
Right.
He's dreamed, and so I just believe
right.
it.
Because we were in a church, so that made it all okay.
Yeah.
But if you opened a newspaper and read something, that was completely that actually it would be completely satanic in the church that I grew up in. Like if anyone knew their sign, like any of those kind of things, it was so against everything when I grew up. And yet, when I kind of grew away from that church, I would look at that and say, but how is that different? Like, because people would come away and say, girls, when I was growing up, we would pray over our future husbands, and there would be sometimes on these nights women that would tell you, because only women could talk to women, only men could talk to men, like that was another rule always, and women would say things like, oh, I know your future husband, God gave me a word about your future husband, and so things that you would hold on to. But I thought, how is that different than going to a fortune teller or I really struggled with that later. So I feel like when I read this sometimes I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
So when I had a dream about my future husband that I was hoping for, that he wasn't in a, rock band or like, how is that different? So I get tripped up over that sometimes for some of those things. But yeah, I could see that. And now being a farmer, there's a big difference between my goats. Between straw and wheat, they would have a real big difference.
Oh yes.
So yeah.
Well, what has straw in common with wheat? They both have a root.
Right.
But I think what he means there is the wheat product, the wheat berries.
Completely.
And so it kind of is getting into that whole bearing fruit thing. And I think we're going to maybe
get into that. Yeah.
Call that as a theme. So we'll see.
Yeah. You ready to move on then for the next one? Yeah. So
go ahead.
Psalm 82. God stands to charge the divine council assembled, giving judgment in the midst of the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and show favor to the wicked? Save the weak and the orphan, defend the humble and needy. Rescue the weak and the poor, deliver them from the power of the wicked. They do not know, neither do they understand. They wander about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. Now I say to you, you are the gods, and all of your children of the Most High. Nevertheless, you shall die like mortals, and fall like any prince. Arise, O God, and rule the earth, for you shall take all nations for your own. It's a psalm.
It seems to be jetting around, changing topic very quickly. And of course, I suppose in the original it rhymed and you could sing it or something.
Right.
But
in English it doesn't quite do that.
It sure doesn't. And when he says, now I say to you, you are gods, and all of you children of the Most High, nevertheless you shall die like mortals and fall like any prince, I think that is also going to show up again when we get to the gospel. But I did note down, which is easier? To save the weak and the orphan and defend the humble and needy, or is it easier to show favor to the wicked? Easier.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely
for
easier.
Sure.
To rescue the weak and poor.
Yep.
And deliver them from the power of the wicked.
Yep.
I don't understand about the foundations of the earth are shaken unless it means, again, it goes back to this is a fallacy, this is a dream, this is just, you made this up because it's going to make it easier for you to, show favor to the wicked, somehow.
Right, or, because I think it's still a little bit out, they don't understand, right, that you're still getting the wrong thing, you're still not.
Yeah.
You're still not on the right topic, like you're still missing the point.
Yeah. And I think saying you're gods and you're going to die like mortals, I think we get back to that, like I say in the gospel, where it's a...
Well, that...
It's,
well, and that also that everyone's still on the same... No matter who you are, you're the unjust, the wicked, you're all still going to... Everyone's still going to die. You're all on the same...
That's true. Yeah, that's right. That's in
same
there.
playing field. That it doesn't matter which category you're in this, you're all on the same playing field. That
Yeah,
I think
you
there's
can't
some of
go
that.
by that and say, oh, he must have been wicked, he died.
Right.
Yeah, so did everybody else.
Right.
So.
And the needy or the, right. Because especially when they would always do the sinful thing that, oh, what sins of your mother, or what sins did you, well, that's why you have this.
Back to your childhood too?
Well, sometimes. But
Oh dear.
Sometimes.
Oh golly.
There are lots of things there.
So back to me?
Yeah, we're back to you.
Okay, Hebrews 11:29 to 12:2. By faith, the people passed through the Red Sea as if it were dry land, but when the Egyptians attempted to do so, they were drowned. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell after they'd been encircled for 7 days. By faith, Rahab the prostitute did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had received the spies in peace. And what more should I say? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, obtained promises, shut the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, and were made strong out of weakness, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Women received their dead by resurrection. Others were tortured, refusing to accept release in order to obtain a better resurrection. Others suffered mocking and flogging and even chains and imprisonment. They were stoned to death. They were sawn in two. They were killed by the sword. They went about in skins of sheep and goats, destitute, persecuted, tormented, of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and mountains and caves and holes in the ground. Yet all these, though they were commended for their faith, did not receive what was promised, since God provided something better, so that they would not, apart from us, be made perfect. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith, who, for the sake of the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, disregarding its shame, and has taken his seat at the right hand of the throne of God. Well, it does. Okay, this verse. Oh, golly, they're real tiny. 39. Although they were commended for their faith, they did all this mighty stuff and had enormous impact. It set foreign armies to flight. But they also wandered in deserts and mountains and caves and holes in the ground. And so they were commended for their faith, but they did not receive what was promised. God had provided something better so that they would not, apart from us, be made perfect. So I think that is saying all this stuff, putting foreign armies to flight, being made strong out of weakness, and getting your dead by resurrection, and some were tortured, and so no matter how the outcome, it's grace. It's not a reward. It's grace. And that's all I could take from that is the outcome is not, apparently you don't go by that.
Right. It's so interesting to hear that. And I couldn't wait to hear what you were going to say because, once again, trauma. But growing up, this verse was used a lot. And even more so once I graduated and was part of some other cultish church type stuff. And we would use this because it was, are we going to be sodden too? We literally would say that. Like, we could be sodden too. This was the hall of faith. And so could we get these things? Could we be this good? Could we work out these things? And because grace was never part of my faith. Like, it was always works. It was always what we were doing. Yeah, grace was there. It was spoke of. But that, it was still earned effort always. Because grace was seen as soft faith, not And it's so funny when I hear growing up or being Lutheran now, understanding grace is such, it could have been so healing in my childhood. But hearing Pastor Geiser when I first even came to this church, but just having conversations and knowing, and his comment was to me one time that just blew my mind was, I think we focus so much on Jesus being perfect, and that's not what we need to worry about in the gospel. And I was like, what? Wait, what? That's all we ever talked about.
Yeah.
And so where that verse that you even called to in 39, where it says, yet all of these, though they were commended for their faith, did not receive what was promised, since God had provided something better, so that they would not, apart from us, be made perfect. Like, wasn't important. That part wasn't important. Like you said, they did all of these things. They were sawed in two. Like, that always stuck out because that was always like the goal that you would be tortured for Christ was the goal. Which, why?
Wow.
I mean, we were sick. But it was this whole thing that if you suffered in some way, specifically in your body in some way, then you were doing something right. And yet, that's not what that's saying.
I have down here a song. Well, it was actually an album by the Talking Heads in the 80s. Stop Making Sense. And I think in this case, you want to impose sense on things that are too big for us to make sense of.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't make sense. It's that we aren't big enough to make sense of them. And then sometimes long after the fact, then, oh, yeah, that's what that was about. But that's how that came out.
Right.
But it's trying to make the sense of things right when you're in it. Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, golly. And it kind of just doesn't work.
Well, and it minimizes what's actually happening, I think, so many times. When someone makes those comments that, oh, well, God has a better plan. It minimizes all of, like, let's not pretend you know what God's thinking or doing or.
Oh, that's good.
Because I don't think that when these things were happening, they were like, oh, yeah, thanks. God's doing good work. Like, this is what's happening.
That's true.
When they're suffering, I highly doubt that's what.
Well, yeah, and when it's coming out like you want, like you think, oh, this is obviously God because he's put these foreign armies to flight, through me. Don't take that to the bank.
Right.
You don't know yet.
Right. Well, and the part of feeling that when you're works-based, not grace-based, that also feels like you did something on the flip side of that. So that there's something that I did right, and I wasn't on a cross. I didn't do anything. Like, I'm not, they didn't do anything to earn any of that. Even when they were trying to do good things, they didn't earn anything.
Even when the outcome was good.
Right.
Even when the outcome was good.
Right.
That wasn't that they earned that outcome. It
Right.
was grace.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So I think there's something there. I mean, because it's like, therefore, we're surrounded with a great cloud of witnesses. Let us also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely with us. Like, there was a point of when we were doing good works, good things, that we lived in a life that felt like we could decide who was in and who was out then. Mm-hmm. And who are you to decide that? So I find that to be an interesting, because that's for me, in Hebrews 12, like where it says, so we can also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us. That it's the part when I finally understood grace, which also gave me such freedom of being 100% sinner and 100% saint 100% of the time. And to understand that and go, oh, that makes so much sense. And that frees me so much. And not to be where I think growing up I would have thought, oh, that meant that I could just be a jerk all the time, or I could live this sinful life and never, because that's not how I want to be. It makes me still strive to run the race, to do the thing, but knowing that I'm not going to be God. I am not creator of all. I know that I don't have to hold it all together, and that is such relief and also such pressure off. Like, yeah. I don't have to hold it all together. Thank God. I don't have to hold it all together.
And I think, well, when we get into the gospel,
yes.
I think we're going to see that there is not an answer that is from God.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Which, great segue.
That?
Yes.
That's your intro.
So yes, no, that's my intro. So Luke 12:49-56. Jesus said, I have come to cast fire upon the earth, and how I wish it were already ablaze. I have a baptism in which to be baptized, and what constraint I am under until it is completed. Do you think that I have come to bring peace to earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. From now on, 5 in one household will be divided. 3 against 2, and 2 against 3, they will be divided. Father against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. He also said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, you immediately say, it's going to rain. And so it happens. And when you see the south wind blowing, you say, there will be scorching heat. And it happens. You hypocrites! You know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky, but why do you not know how to interpret the present time?
Well.
Yeah, super light.
Yes. That I went back and I thought, okay, Luke is talking to the Greeks.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote this for the Greeks. And he tells them that Jesus said this. And so Jesus said all kinds of things, but Luke thought it's very important that these Greek believers know that Jesus said that.
Right.
And I think that what he was saying, okay, let me back up one step, okay? Do you think I've come to bring peace to the earth? No, but rather division from now on.
Mm-hmm.
From now on, 5 in one household will be divided 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. Now, the Old Testament and the Greek culture and the stories and the behavior of the Greek gods, what does he mean from now on? It happened all the way back. Adam and Eve, our daughter pointed out, she says, Cain and Abel.
Right.
You know.
Right. It was well before then.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
And so the Greeks knew that was life, you know, and they knew, and so did the Jews.
Right.
Okay. And Jesus says from now on. So Luke must be pointing out that he means something different about being divided from here on out. So I kind of worked on that. I think, they weren't before. Now it's normal. What?
Right.
And I think it does say we should expect to confront. And that there will not be an answer. If we are following Jesus, if we are obedient, you are going to say that the toilet paper should be hung with the free end down the wall, and I am going to say it should be hung with the free end out in the room. And we're going to confront, because in some contexts, you may be right, and in other contexts, I may be right. And I went back to Matthew 25 with he's going to separate the sheep and the goats. And I'll just offer the observation, those are both clean animals. They're both kosher. Mm-hmm. You can eat a goat, you can eat a sheep.
Right.
But the goats don't fare very well in that story.
No. And they're my favorite.
That's the other thing. But is your yard, okay, our yard here at Trinity, is that a tool to grow vegetables in? Or is it a decoration to make the church look attractive to people and fit into the society here? Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
And Diana's out there
doing it now,
picking vegetables, and people are planting flowers, and
they just cleaned it up today. So yeah. Right.
So
both.
It's
both and.
Yeah. Both answers are correct, but they're not the same, and don't expect them to be.
Correct.
From now on,
it
just makes that from now on just.
And I never, and I've read it a lot, but I don't know that I've paid attention to that little.
Well, I don't know. I think, like I say, I think Luke was saying to the Greeks, it's not going to be a perfect non-confrontational world. You're not all going to think that the toilet paper should hang this way, or you're not all going to think that the yard is a tool to feed people, or the yard is a decoration to fit into society.
Right. Well, and do we call that, even as people who are called to follow Jesus, that's still not even that controlled group? Like that, wouldn't that be a lovely example of what our world looks like right now? Or just North America? Do we just want to say North America? We could even just say it to the United States. We don't even have to pull Canada into that.
Not quite with you.
Well, I'm just thinking of people who would label themselves as Christian in the United States. We don't even have to pull Canada into it. What makes someone a Christian in the United States right now? Who sets that standard? I feel like that is a division there, very distinctly.
Yeah, and and so maybe this is a warning that you can't say.
Correct, because I can tell you in my own family, there is division on what that word means. And who's going to heaven and who's not, some would decide. Where I would say all of us are. And some of them would lose their minds just because I said that.
I'm kind of that Matthew 25 thing with the sheep and the goats. Mm-hmm. Well, I was glad to find out I'm glad to think about the fact that they're both kosher.
Right.
But then the goats get burned up in the eternal fire, and then I thought, well, I thought it was kind of universalist, but it doesn't sound like it when you get there.
And yet, in that Matthew verse, when he splits them up, because that's when he's like, I was hungry and you fed me, I was, naked and you clothed me, I was in prison and you visited me. What's funny about that verse is the only difference between them are things that you did or didn't do.
I know.
Which is not really about grace. I mean, it is, because it's actually fully about grace. You extended grace. But it's the only time where it's, how did you treat someone? Did you love your neighbor?
And
did you love God? Did you love your neighbor? Because what it comes down to is they're like, but God, we didn't see you. And he was like, no, but you did. Because I was that naked person. I was the hungry person. So it always, once again, comes back down to love God, love your neighbor.
Yeah. And
which then is pretty flowers and a garden. So
well, and it goes clear back to the psalm saying, save the
I was looking in the orphan. Right.
Yeah.
Defend the humble and show favor to the wicked.
So, but you can't go by the outcome.
Mm-mm.
You can maybe look at the input. Okay, the input was that this person saw a naked person and went and did something that because they saw that naked person.
Right.
And maybe, you know.
That's a tough one, though.
Yeah, it is, because it sounds like it's like we do everything and we do nothing. You know, wow.
Right.
So, and you keep
so then have a dream. No.
Well, we actually can't go by whether hungry people exist.
Right.
That the outcome is, we know the outcome is not the point.
Right.
You can't judge by that.
Right.
And we can't judge the intent, although it says in the very first reading, God can.
Right. But we're not God, because he reminds us of that in the Hebrew reading. So.
Well, and I'll be honest, my intent, I think anyone would say this, my intent is never pure.
No.
I do that partly because I see that needs done, and partly so I'll get noticed.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and partly because I like control. So, you know, I like to just get order and let's fix it. So fix the broken system and let's do it.
So.
Right.
Yeah, so we can't judge the input even on ourselves, maybe,
No.
but we can try to follow.
And do our best to love God, love our neighbor, and but knowing that this is still going to happen, that we're still not going to, there's still going to be infighting, and I still wonder. Okay, so the end of it, when he's like, you hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and sky, but why do you not know how to interpret the present time? What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. How'd that get in there?
Right. Like, I feel like that's a little bit of like, so you understand the other thing?
Somebody drop a page?
Well, that's exactly it. Or I'm like, is that the whole thing? Like, you understand the outside stuff, but you don't understand the inner workings of people, or
I'll go with that. You open that door, I'm going through it.
So I was like, I don't understand. You know, like it's one of those like you can catch what's happening out there, but you don't know what's happening between all of you. I don't know. I don't understand that last line.
And not what it has to do with what comes before.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of like we're not bringing peace to earth. We're not. But then it's like, oh, you understand the clouds. You understand the rain. You understand like, oh, okay. So why are we talking about that?
Let's go all the way. If we go all the way back to the beginning.
Right, because I come to cast fire on the earth. Like I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I would love to know what you think about that one. If you could just talk to us now and tell us what that has to do with it, that would be helpful.
At one point though, I was thinking we really should have a Sunday school class or something, training on confrontation.
Yeah.
Because I know that there are times when I should have confronted, when the right thing to do was to confront, and I didn't, for a number of better and worse reasons. You know, some to save my
your own
relationship, my own picture of myself, and other times because I just didn't know how to begin.
Right. Or for that other person, right? Because sometimes it's, I know this is not going to be received well, and I don't know how to make it
and
in the best.
Is the chance of a rupture in the relationship at the same time we're called to confront, and it could be just which way to hang the toilet paper, but it could be other. I mean, if it's a sin, we have a nice procedure to follow. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
Open unrepentant sin, that's it. Not easy, but at least it's obvious.
Right.
You know.
Right. But when maybe it's just a disagreement, then hey, how do we have this? Yeah.
Neither one's really wrong.
Right.
In the sense morally wrong, and our judgment of how it's going to come out, whether it's going to get you sawn in half or put the armies to flight,
Right.
that's our guess. It's the future. We don't know.
Right. And not doing those things because we are just trying to avoid that is not worth.
That's
Yeah.
right. And I can think of examples here and examples at work and examples in the family where I think I really should have confronted, but I don't. I would like to get some training
Right.
on how to confront. There are people that are so good at it. They can say anything to anybody and they'll just, oh yeah, you're right.
I know. So
I
we need
don't
to find
have
one
that.
of those people to teach that, because I tend to probably speak more than I should, and then I'm like, ooh, if I could take 2 more sentences back. So,
yeah.
no, I think that's good. It's good. So,
That's all.
any
I
other
think.
thoughts? No, I think those
No,
are good.
I
I think these were lots of thoughts. So we
Yeah.
appreciate you watching. If you've got other thoughts, send them our way.
Yeah,
We'd appreciate
please,
it.
please,
So.
especially if they're thoughts that.
Give us better
Let
insight.
us off the hook.
Right, exactly. Give us insight. And if you know how to confront, let us know, because then maybe you could teach our class.
Yeah,
So we
if
would
you're good
appreciate
at
it.
it, or you know someone who is, please, yeah.
Send them our way. We
Yes,
would like
please.
that. So, cool. Thanks.
Thank you.